Hi, I'm CJ and this is my RC channel. Okay, I said I'd let you know about any little idiosyncrasies. This may have just been a minor issue, and it may just, been a mistake that was in one run, so yours may not have this. When I first set this piece down, this notch was not here. I cut that, and I just lined up the notch there, and I noticed that this was off, this is off. It's like, wait a second, they're all off. What's going on? It's like, did I use the wrong piece? And it's like, wait a minute, no, the other ones were for the trailing edges, the other wing, they were longer, they were had more scrap at this end. There's no way this is the right piece. And so I lined up at the middle, and it's like, okay, everything lines up except the two outer notches. No big deal. Take an X-Acto knife, cut one edge, cut another one, sink vertically, pop out the little piece of scrap, done. So, like I said, I just needed to cut a notch here, a little further in, and likewise at this side over here. So, not a big deal, nothing to worry about. And, you can confirm that because A, it matches the plans, B, it matches the width of this center piece here. So, no big deal. The first step in the center section, pin down the trailing edge and then identify these pieces. And even though you'll see center and lower, okay, and you've got Q and Q, you want this little slot on the left hand side. I'm not 100% sure, but I assume this is for the servo lead, for the spoiler servo, which is going to go right about here. So what you want to do is tack these to the trailing edge with thin CA, and you want to tack this center line too. Now you can just do a light job and just make sure that everything is tacked in place so it's not going anywhere. You want to make sure it's flush to the bottom edge and lined up with the lines on the plans here, and these need to be lined up on this center line. Then you need to find the doublers for P, the P rib right here. This is going to go in this very center, and these doublers are in a wood block. It's in one of the bags. They're facing each other, or not nose to nose, they're tail to tail. Just pop them out, pop out the center pieces, give a little bit of a light sand to the bottom edge here, where they're still joined to the balsa. And once you've got everything smooth, glue them together. I held a stick against the edge here. I did one at a time. First I did the left one, and then I did the right. The stick helped me line up the front edge to make sure everything was flush and square. And I used slow CA, so I had time to position them vertically. And so I have a nice single unit here now. So this is going to get, the next step is going to be to orient the center spar. And so I'll be tacking this in place, tacking this down, tacking here and here. And then it's time to lay up the remaining ribs, not including the two outers. Those come in a little bit. Here's what I would recommend doing. The instructions call for you to line up the center rib and line it up with the line back here and here, which I am definitely doing, but it's how I'm doing it. I have put in place the two Q ribs, and I'm also lining them up with the plans. I have pinned the main spar down vertically. I have lined that spar up with the outer edge on the plans. I have lined it up with these two wooden pieces. I have lined up the Q ribs with the lines on the plans, and I have lined up the center rib. And I just have this piece of wood in here for spacing, because you don't want the main spar needs to be a little bit below the bottom of the rib, because it sits in between this wood panel here and the two wood panels that will go on either side here. So if you try to make that level, in other words, make the spar level with the bottom of the rib, you're going to have a problem. You're not going to get a good joint here or here. So just remember, there's a little bit of an offset to allow for the 1/64 inch piece of wood. This is very precisely designed and engineered kit. It's really fantastic. So anyway, now that this is in place and I've got everything pinned, now I can come in with thin CA, tack along these seams here, 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 and here, and at the intersections here and here, and then here and here, and then the main framework is going to be aligned and centered, the trailing edge centered with the main spar. Everything is square. So that's how I would recommend you do the start of this. Then you can put in the remaining ribs, et cetera, and follow the directions as they go. This is just a not a deviation from the instructions, just an augment, kind of a way of doing what they say with a little more precision. Instead of just lining up the center section, I'm lining up multiple points. I'm lining up these two ribs, I'm lining up the spar with the plans and with the edges here. So I'm getting more data, more points of alignment to make sure that everything's square than just an X. So you may want to do that, you may not, it's up to you. Okay, this is where it gets a little tricky. And you just want to make sure you've really read and understand the directions. You don't glue in the S and T ribs just in place. You do it by using the built outer piece. You're going to cut two pieces of wood. I just used some popsicle sticks to 2.5 inches, and you're going to attach one to each of the outermost ribs here where the joint is. So not outermost here, where the outer dihedral is. So just, basically tape one in the same way that you did for the outer dihedral when you did that piece. So you're going to be putting one there, and you're going to prop this up. And then you're going to put the carbon fiber rod in. You're going to put these on the carbon fiber rod and then put them into place. And then you're going to glue everything together. Now, things I recommend doing. In the directions, they recommend taking after you've glued these doublers on to both sides, that you enlarge the holes as needed with a 3/16 inch drill bit, which I did. But this is a high stress area, even with the doubler, and you want it to last over time. You don't want it to get worn. You don't want it splitting. So what I did is, after I ran the drill through, I took quick thin CA and dripped thin CA into this hole here on, above and below, and let it kind of roll around and wick into the wood here, and that kind of tightens up the pores in the wood, locks everything down with the CA. Then I ran the drill through one more time, and now I have a nice smooth pass through with no play, and it's a lot stronger than it would be if I had just, you know, glued and not done that extra step of adding extra thin CA. When I attach these doublers, just like I did on the other part of the wing, I used slow, so I had, you know, ample time to position the doubler as needed. So now I'm going to be going through this process, and again, it's going to be, you know, inserting the dowel into the wing, the outer wing, inserting the ribs onto the dowel, and then gluing them in place while the wing is propped up in position, and making sure that the T rib is flush up against the A rib on the outer wing piece. So that's going to be a little bit of a juggling thing, but I'm sure it'll go just fine. So these are glued in place. Once you got things tacked, pull out the outer wings and then use thick CA and zap and make a nice bead along the edge here, along where the doubler is, just this little box section in here, and the two verticals here. You want to gusset those up nice, and I would recommend doing the same thing on the forward side. Once the lower panels get glued in, I'd do the lower panels first, or if you do the top panels, you can do it, you know, from the top, but doing the bottom first is probably better. In any event, this is where we're going to do the carbon caps. There's a pair of them, in case you were wondering why there were two more. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please click like and please subscribe to my channel. If you click the bell icon, you'll receive notifications every time I launch a new video. Thank you for watching.